Good morning, everyone. Welcome to College Football Time with Avery and Miguel. Week 11 is in the books. Avery, we're going to start off with your Alabama Crimson Tide. They beat LSU 20-9. No touchdowns for LSU. Boy, oh boy. Alabama, they won their 8th straight, and they have won 17 straight at home. However, even though Alabama won, but I feel like they could have performed so much better. Their running game, they had to get better. They had to get better. And you have Simpson who was overthrowing and underthrowing in this game. So Alabama, a win is a win, but they need to be better going forward. But another win for them. And yeah, take it from there.
I agree with you. I thought their win against LSU should have been more decisive. Like I've said, last couple of weeks. We're at the point for the seeding of the college playoff where your wins, especially wins in your division, need to be decisive. Granted, they won by 11 points, but and not having a team score touchdowns is great, but this win against LSU needed to be decisive. Simpson needs to be more accurate. He needs to take control of his throws. He may not even need to make throws. He may need to just go ahead and throw the ball away. And the coaching staff needs to talk with him. His brothers need to talk with him to make sure he's at least not making mistakes because even if the mistakes aren't being capitalized on the other team, those mistakes can be capitalized and it can hurt Alabama in a big way. Because now, with just, 2 weeks left, the next two games, they need to be decisive. And how this season has gone overall at this point, it's now what the heck has gone on with college football? It's a great thing, but it's surprising every single week. So Alabama needs to be very consistent. Their defense looks very good for what they did with LSU, but still need to see that consistency on the other side of the football as well.
How about Texas A&M? I was shocked how they just manhandled Missouri. They won 38-17. The Aggies' offensive line is great. I'm really liking that offensive line. Marcel Reed, he completed 20 of 29 passes, 221 yards with 2 touchdowns. Ruben Owens the second, 13 rushes, 102 yards with 2 touchdowns. They improved to 9-0, and the Aggies are 6-0 in conference play, their best since 1998. Their 9-0 start is their best since 1992. So this team is rolling. As for Missouri, they're now 0-3 against ranked team this season.
Yeah, this was a tough loss. I thought it could have been a closer game from Missouri's perspective, but Texas A&M did what they needed to do. They're a third seed. They need to have decisive wins, and unfortunately, Missouri was the victim of that very decisive win. But it also shows for anybody who wasn't kind of on the Texas A&M band, getting on the bandwagon, who was, showing out for the Aggies, showing respect for the Aggies, you need to show up now. Especially already Aggies fans, you're the college version of a 12th man anyway. So if you're a Texas A&M fan, or if you're looking at the rankings right now, Texas A&M is the dark horse. I know everybody's talking about Ohio State, everybody's talking about Indiana. You need to now talk about Texas A&M because Texas A&M can be the definite wild card right now. And again, I especially love their offensive line. If you have an offensive line that is not getting near your quarterback, kudos to you because I'm just done with offensive lines just collapsing around their quarterback. Kudos to Texas A&M's O line.
The Oregon Ducks, they came through with a late field goal to win 18-16. They have now won 11 straight on the road. That's very impressive. I respect any teams that can win that many games on the road. So Dan Lanning is the seventh FBS coach in the last 50 years to win over 40 games of his first 50 career games. Oregon, they completely outrushed Iowa 261 to 140. The run game was impressive. And, like I say, they just barely survive and win this game. So, but I'm glad that this is one of those games I had on my eye that it should be tight and compelling and, drama at the end.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. But it became the downfall of Oregon. Yes, they came back and won, but you also dropped in the ranking because you barely won. So Oregon, hey, playing on the road in college football, I think is very tough. Granted, you'll have your traveling crew, whether it be family who is traveling with the team, depending on where they are. But I think traveling in college football is more difficult than pro football because, us adults, we can travel for our home team and and we can sell out stadiums to make it a home game. But college football is a different breed. But Oregon having the schedule they have, playing a lot of games on the road, it was an interesting game. Oregon did everything right. I thought Iowa had it. Iowa had this game, but Oregon squeaked it out. But, like I said, if at this point, if you are in the top 15, your games need to be decisive. I'll repeat it until, I pass out. And as you can see, it became a drawback for Oregon. Granted they won, but they went down in ranking because they did not win decisively. So Oregon needs to look at their last few games, need to see maybe things they need to tweak. The defense is playing very well. So I think Oregon is still in the prime position. I think, again, decisive wins will help them further for going into the end of the season.
This next one, Avery, I was shocked how this came about on this particular day. Even though they lost, I had to tip my hat to Penn State Nittany Lions for the way they played against Indiana. The fact that this team came very close to hand Indiana their first loss of the season, that is wow. Huge wow. But Indiana, not only they escaped with this victory 27-24, but this was also their first ever road win at Penn State. Crazy. Penn State, like I said, give a lot of credit to them, especially the fact, look at the kind of season that they're having, all these distractions, the fact that they even trailed 20-7, they battled and they almost came away with a victory. But Indiana came through, late touchdown, and they remain unbeaten.
Yeah, and this is me just literally throwing the book. If you can't see it, it's literally throwing the book at Penn State. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, but I mean, Penn State had that game. I'll also give this. The referee that called that touchdown in real time deserves a round of applause because he was right there. He saw that foot was down. So definitely not only that, kudos to the referee. Kudos to Indiana for just playing a complete game of football. Penn State, that was the drawback. I was very impressed with Penn State not giving up, knowing that this is the number two seed coming into their house. But the Penn State defense could have done a better job at handling the end of that game because even though Indiana ended up winning, see, this did not hinder Indiana in a bad way like it hindered Oregon. Indiana is still a number two seed. This could have hindered Indiana in a very bad way, but it didn't. but Indiana, I will definitely say this, their quarterback definitely got a bump in his Heisman chances. I definitely say that. Mendoza definitely has a bump in his Heisman. So,
I like that kid,
they,
young.
oh,
I really like that
absolutely.
kid.
Very, very good because that was a difficult throw. That was an NFL throw, caliber throw, in my opinion. He trusted his receiver to make the play, and then at that point, the receiver believed in himself to make sure he had at least 1 foot in. For college, it was 1 foot in, and the pros is going to be two. But he made sure he had 1 foot in to make sure that touchdown counted, and it did. And that's possibly a top five game because Penn State battling back, Indiana coming back, to win in the way that they did. That is a very good game for both teams. It can be a moral victory for Penn State, but at the same time, I'm like, you had that game up until about 15 seconds left. So congratulations to the Hoosiers. They definitely deserve that win.
And how about this one, Ariel, man? If we saw the surprise of Indiana and Penn State game, we saw a surprise of Texas A&M and Missouri one. The other one that kind of surprised me in a way was how Texas Tech dominated BYU. That was another one. They held them to just one touchdown,
Oh
29
yes.
7. The Red Raiders defense, I mean, that defense is electric. That defense is electric. Um, BYU's offensive coordinator, he didn't have an answer for Texas Tech in this game. He had no answer whatsoever for them. In this game, in my opinion, Texas Tech, they look bigger and they look faster compared to BYU. What's
Yeah.
your opinion?
I mean, it also could have been, the ESPN College Game Day boost, what I like to call. Sometimes when ESPN College Game Day goes to schools, the schools get not only just a boost because, they're showcasing their college, but it sometimes gives a boost to the football team. And man, did it give a boost to the Red Raiders down in Lubbock, Texas. They basically said, you're not coming here. This is our house. Let us show you how football is done in Texas. And they did. The Red Raiders had literally no mercy for BYU. And actually, that worked out, I think, very well for Texas Tech because, again, very decisive win works in their favor. They're moving up in the rankings. So, again, that those decisive wins help them. BYU is still kind of in the thick of it. Still they still have to do the same thing. Their offensive coordinator might needs to look at that film and go, what did I miss? Because it was literally, you know, hey, let me open the door and then let me just go ahead and beat you senseless. But the Texas Tech did everything right. Texas Tech did everything right. And it's a good show of force for them, knowing that the finish line is right there for Texas Tech. Again, Texas Tech, very good basketball school, very good basketball school. Their football program, granted, it gave us Patrick Mahomes, but their football program is now becoming in the conversation for a national championship. So again, if no one else is talking about them, this is how other schools get into the mix. So now here comes Texas Tech, right there. I think they're about number 8 right now. They're just right in the middle of it. And now they're just sitting, waiting to see who can mess up or who can, who they can beat decisively, what other help they can have, to get them more favorable, rankings. But this is a really good chance for the Red Raiders, and I'm very encouraged to see how this plays out for them.
This next one is more of a feel good victory and a much needed victory. and that is Clemson. They beat Florida State 24-10. Clemson has now won 9 of the last 10 meetings against the Seminoles. Very feel good victory by Clemson. As Florida State, Avery, ever since that undefeated season and how you know what happened at the end of the season after that, it's like they couldn't recover from that.
Yeah, I think after that overtime loss against Virginia Tech, I think that kind of sucked the wind out of it. I mean, they started off strong. You beat Alabama decisively in your own house. You have this great wave, the fans are behind you, the school's behind you, everything is working well. But I think that overtime loss at Virginia Tech just kind of sucked everything out. Clemson, on the other hand, they started with a loss. They've been just trying to find their identity. And at this point, it is a feel-good win. They're just trying to salvage anything and everything at this point. And I think Dabo Swinney has taken, any good he can. Um, I I I don't I don't think he's on the coach's hot seat, if you will. But he's just going to take anything he can to get this football team in a good place to to just have something, to have some type of identity. Because ACC is already tough as it. I think as we know, we've said it before. I've said it before personally. The SEC is the toughest conference. ACC, it doesn't look like much, but you have teams in the ACC that just love to mess with you. You have teams in the ACC where they may not seem like they're a contender, but then on that particular Saturday, they're just going to beat you, and you're like, well, what happened? Okay, you weren't prepared. You know, Clemson showed that they were prepared in this day. So let's see how they finish out the season at this point.
I agree. I just don't see Dabo Swinney being on the hot seat. I just don't see it. I don't feel it, and I'm not buying it. But I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
Last but not least, Avery, I feel that this team, I've always respected their program, and we constantly talk about this team, and they deserve to be talked. And I feel like they're peaking at the right time, and that is Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they picked up Navy apart. Navy, you guys know how we feel about you guys, servicemen and women. I'm wearing olive green this whole week because tomorrow is Veterans Day. So salute to our servicemen and women. Yeah, there, hey, you see, that this is why, guys, college football, tell me every Miguel, you just have to tune in because we go outside of the box. We go outside of the box. So we don't follow these mainstream medias. We do our own stuff. But Navy, they're a good team. So, always honor and respect our servicemen and women, especially football teams, the Army, Navy, Air Force. But Notre Dame, this was all Notre Dame. They won 49-10. Jeremiah Love, I really like that kid. That kid is
oh
special.
yeah.
His explosiveness, his fearlessness, competitiveness, he's just sensational. So, like I said, I feel that Notre Dame, in my opinion, they are peaking at the right time.
I agree.
And nothing but respect to Coach Freeman, as we know. He's one of my favorite college football coaches in the game. I like how he molds his team, how he gets his team ready, prepared for game day. So be on the lookout for Notre Dame.
Oh yeah. I'll still say it. Them not being in a conference can hinder them, but you're right, they are peaking at the right time. And how it's helping them is it was a decisive win over Navy. So now all they have to do is finish the win with more decisive wins. And it can be done. It absolutely can be done. And also I am a coach. I'm a fan of Coach Friedman. And you're right, Notre Dame is peaking at the right time. They're at a point where they're sitting comfortably in where they need to be. But their last three games, they need those games need to be very decisive. And by decisive, I'm talking at least a three touchdown win. Like they need to have complete control over their opponent. Like I said, you have to go with the Cobra Kai mentality. At this point, no mercy. At this point, if you are just running ragged over teams, just do it. Just get it done because that is going to help your standing when it comes to the college football playoff.
Yes, indeed. And honorable mentions, Iowa State, they beat TCU 20-17. That punt return touchdown was clutch by the Cyclones. The Miami Hurricanes, they got revenge on Syracuse from last year. Since they lost to Syracuse last year, they won 38-10. And they moved up. They went from 18 to
Yes,
16. So
absolutely. They're
there's that.
right. They're right there. They're just right there. They're kind of on the
Yeah.
outside look. They're kind of on the outside looking in, but like I said, they're just right there.
Yep. And is there anything that you want to mention before we wrap
Yeah,
it up?
I have a couple of games. Wisconsin upset Washington. Washington was coming in, ranked. They just got a a two no a field goal loss over Wisconsin. That game was just too close. Also, North Carolina, another division win, second straight. As interesting as that school has a time right now, I think there's certain things that are going well with the Tar Heels that could be beneficial. And also, Vanderbilt, they got it in overtime over Auburn. It was a close one, but Vanderbilt got it done. So, definitely going to give a shout out to Vanderbilt. Still a big fan of what they've done this season. So, yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Fantastic. So guys, that wraps it up for today's college football time with Avery Miguel. Stay tuned for week 12 preview. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying week 12 already.
I can't
Time
believe it
flies.
either.
Yeah. But hey guys, if you guys enjoy this content, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. We love doing this, guys. And like I said, we always think outside the box and we always try to mention even games that doesn't get much notoriety or attention. So that's why college football 10 where Avian Miguel is here, season 4, my favorite season so far. And we're just gonna continue to ride this until the wheels falls off. So have a great Monday, everyone. Be safe and may God bless each and every one of you and our servicemen and women because tomorrow, once again, is Veterans Day. So
Yes, and
go ahead.
Army won their game over the weekend too. So definitely congratulations to Army. Yes, to our servicemen and women. Thank you for serving our country. Thank you for sacrificing for us so that we can live in this wonderful country. Happy Veterans Day to the veterans out there, especially the veterans who I work with. Thank you.